The movie starts with a young man walking into a bank, but is stopped at the entrance when the alarm goes off. Attila shows the guards his titanium arm, which triggers the alarm, and they let him into the building. One of the guards apologizes to him, and a bank clerk leads him to the vault. 3 boxes open up after facial recognition, which Attila carries to the table with one arm. The clerk turns to let Attila open the boxes and realizes too late that he has put on a prosthetic arm. Attila attacks the clerk, breaks into another box, and removes a pouch of diamonds. The bank security burst into the vault, and Attila had to fight his way, but he was injured in the process. Attila is almost cornered, but he takes a female bank employee hostage and locks himself in a room. When the police break down the door, they find a hole in the floor. Attila makes it out of the bank with the diamonds by climbing out a utility hole to where his brother Hyder is waiting. Hyder rushes to help Attila out, but he is injured and bleeding. Attila does not think he will survive, but Hyder does not want to leave him. Therefore, Attila takes his own life to stop his brother from sticking around as the police sirens approach. So Hyder rides away. Maria wanted to become a champion like her mother, so she trained hard night and day. However, when she was on the verge of making it big, the bionic revolution happened, which led to the rise of more superior athletes with bionic prosthetics, such as her sister Gabby. Therefore, her sister Gabby became the world champion while other athletes like Maria were pushed to the background. However, Maria thinks that her fate is about to change. Meanwhile, Detective Guerra and his partner arrive to investigate the bank robbery and Attila's death. Attila was an ex-pro boxer, pushed into the background after the bionic revolution, and lost his career. Attila had amputated his arm in a fake accident to get the bionic prosthesis, but the authorization was cancelled after his scam was discovered. Since an NIM card is required to control the prosthetics, Attila and his brother had stolen the body of an athlete who had died of an overdose and stole his chip to control his fake prosthetic arm. The detectives take a photo of the tattoo on Attila's arm for more investigations. Elsewhere, Hyder arrives at the gym, updates his team about Attila's death, and shows them the diamond. He is introduced to the new crew member, a technology expert nicknamed Uncle Hard. Uncle Hard checks the diamonds for authenticity, and the team realizes they are of low quality and will not get enough money after the sale. One worries about how they can afford to pay the hackers responsible for feeding them with information. Hyder thinks they need another para-athlete for their plan to work, and Uncle Hard says he knows someone they can use. Uncle Hard takes Hyder to meet his sister Gabby, who is training at an abandoned stadium. It turns out that Uncle Hard is Maria's brother, Gus. Maria recalls how Gabby's leg was amputated due to a tumor, and she got the bionic leg. The two sisters grew up in constant competition, with the father training Gabby while the mother training Maria. Gus was caught in the middle and often forgotten as the parents concentrated on the sisters. After their mother's death, the bond between Maria and Gus strengthened. Hyder asks why Maria trains at the stadium, and she tells him that it is symbolic to her. The stadium reminds her of how ordinary athletes feel after the bionic revolution. Gus tells Maria about Hyder's project to help normal athletes who feel abandoned and asks for her help, but she does not answer. Meanwhile, Dario presents the following plans for the bionics designed for athletes to Wanda and other executives. Gabby's father, Ricardo, is in the meeting and wants Wanda to approve the upgrades to give the athletes 30% more strength and speed. The proposed improvements are over budget, and Wanda has not approved them. However, she changes her mind when Ricardo promises Gabo will be the main face of the campaign and assures her that she will break a world record. Maria visits Hyder's club and is interested in his efforts to help normal athletes. He tells her about his brother and how the bionic revolution affected his career. Maria expresses her frustrations at the efforts she has gone through to get her performance closer to the bionics, and Hyder suggests self-mutilation, which is illegal. Later that evening, Maria arrives at a party held for her sister and the launch of the bionic updates. Maria gets drunk during the party and takes center stage, accusing bionic athletes of no longer being real athletes. She tells them that they forgot about the meaning of sports. Maria reminisces about how disabled athletes inspired people by making them believe everything was possible. However, after the bionic revolution, all the bionic athletes care about is making money for their sponsors. Maria calls out Gabby, saying she no longer inspires her, and then leaves the party. Maria gets on her motorcycle and speeds through the night. She stops and puts on an Italian opera that her mother used to play during her training, but she gets hit by a car. Maria is rushed to the hospital and wakes up frantic after she realizes that her leg has been amputated. Gabby and Ricardo struggle to calm her down, and the nurses give her a sedative to put her to sleep. Meanwhile, the detectives continue investigating the case and finding connections between Attila and his brother Hyder. The tattoo on Attila's arm is a symbol of the movement supporting normal athletes' right to amputate their limbs to get bionic prosthetics. Detective Guerra suggests looking deeper into the support group set up by Hyder for normal employees. Elsewhere, Maria receives a message from Hyder asking if she got his present. She heads to the main hall to check out the gift, and Gabby tries to teach her how to walk on one leg. However, she notices that Maria is more thrilled about getting something, and is not thinking about what she has lost. Later, Maria undergoes testing and gets her NIM chip, which collects all impulses from the cerebral cortex and transmits them to the prosthetic. She then gets her bionic leg and starts training. The bionic team and her father, Ricardo, are impressed by her progress, which makes Gabby anxious. Maria loses control of her emotions during the jump, and Dario suggests she get a good night's sleep to recharge her brain. Detective Guerra follows Hyder to Maria's training and notices they go home together. Gus plans to rob an armored truck, and Hyder talks Maria into helping with the robbery. Maria asks Hyder to let Gus leave the movement in return for her help. The heist goes as planned. The truck driver follows the diversions that lead the track to Maria, who flips it over with her bionic leg. She then throws a smoke grenade into the track, forcing the occupants to open the door, and the group gets their money. Maria accidentally lets the driver see her face, and she is stunned when Hyder ruthlessly kills him on the spot. Back at the hideout, the others are ecstatic about seeing so much money, but Maria is still thinking about the dead driver. She confronts Hyder, who simply responds that he had to kill him because he saw her face. Maria tries to get her brother to leave, but he chooses to stay. Gus feels he is making a difference working for Hyder, and even has a tattoo. Gus says he has no future with the family, since all that matters is the competition between Maria and Gabby. The detectives question one of the men still alive after the heist, and he mentions that the driver did not lose control of the vehicle, but a person with a bionic leg flipped it. Back at the police station, Detective Guerra figures that there might be a connection between Maria and Hyder, so he asks his partner to pull up the CCTV footage from the accident scene and the voice recording for the 911 call. After comparing the timestamps between the two, they notice that the 911 call was made before the accident happened, which means it was premeditated. Meanwhile, Ricardo brings Maria good news. Biona Solid Limbs has agreed to sponsor her for the upcoming Biona Games. Everyone in the family, other than Gabby, is happy about the news. At the same time, Detective Guerra receives news about Maria joining the Bionic Games and heads out to the training field to question her. Gabby is still angry with Maria for joining the team, so she picks a fight during training. Detective Guerra and Gus head down the field to break the girls apart, and Maria accidentally knocks out Guerra with her prosthetic leg. The detectives talk to the family and tell them about the time difference between the call and the time of the accident. Ricardo and Gus are angry that the detectives are trying to insinuate that Maria intentionally caused the accident. Therefore, they send the call recording to Ricardo and ask him to call if he notices something. The following day, Gabby feigns sickness and stays home while Maria goes for training, and Gus meets up with Hyder. She listens to the call recording and recognizes the music in the background. Next, during the Bionic Games, Gabby is frustrated because Maria keeps taking the lead and breaking the record she sets in each jump. At the same time, Gus receives an update from the hackers about the date, time, and place of delivery for the NIM chips. Gabby gets anxious and unable to keep her emotions in check, but she still jumps against Dario's warning. She shuts down, faints during the third jump, and is rushed to the hospital. Maria blames her father for encouraging competition and pitting her and Gabby against each other. While Gabby lies unconscious in the hospital, Gus reminds Gabby of the deal with Hyder. However, Maria is unwilling to help by stealing the NIM chips, especially after Gabby tells her that she knows the accident was intentional. Gabby had repeatedly listened to the call recording and heard the Italian opera playing in the background. Maria thinks the deal with Hyder is over, but he sees her at the hospital about the NIM shipment. However, Maria refuses to help Hyder and does not attend the press conferences with Wanda. Therefore, Gus drugs Maria, and Hyder's men show up at the house to abduct Gabby. Ricardo tries to help Gabby, but Hyder's men beat him up and leave him unconscious. Gus shows up and tries to stop Hyder, but he insists that Gus should trust him. Hyder tells Maria to make sure she follows through with the plan till the end or he kills her sister. Next, Maria and Hyder's men are atop a building next to the Bionic Solid Limbs Company. The plan is for Maria to jump from one building to the next and get the NIM's shipment in the briefcase before it gets to the vault. With her sister's life at stake, Maria has no choice but to jump, get the briefcase, and head out to the rendezvous point with Hyder. Meanwhile, the detectives arrive at the company, and Dario hands them clear CCTV footage showing Maria taking the shipment. At the rendezvous point, a man shows up in Hyder's motorbike, and Maria thinks it is Hyder, so she runs him over with the car. However, it turns out that Hyder had sent Maria's brother Gus, since he suspected that Maria would attempt to hurt him. Hyder's men take Maria and the briefcase to the warehouse to meet with the buyers. It turns out that the whole story about helping regular athletes was not true, and Hyder planned to sell the NIM chips to a buyer who wanted to build an army of bionic soldiers. After opening the case, Hyder realizes they got more than the 10 chips they hoped for and calls Maria forward to admire the loot. Maria kicks the briefcase, scattering the chips, and starts fighting Hyder and his men. Maria almost wins the fight, but Hyder sneaks up and stabs her in the back. Gabby tries to stop Hyder, but ends up in his chokehold, but Maria kills him. Gabby hears the police sirens approaching and persuades Maria to run. She tries to run out of the building, but Detective Guerra and the police chase after her. Maria climbs over a barbed wire and gets entangled, unable to get down. Detective Guerra orders the police not to shoot and tries to convince Maria to surrender, but she removes her prosthetic leg and falls. Gabby follows the chase, listening to the police radio and realizing her sister is in trouble. She steals a car, gets to Maria, and drives away before the police reach her. 6 months later, Detective Guerra reports that although Maria and Gabby are on the run, the operation succeeded since they recovered the NIM chips and stopped Hyder's gang. Gabby and Maria are running a project to help children with disabilities by nurturing their sports talents. They still maintain contact with Dario, and he secretly supplies them with bionic prostheses. When Dario asks how they plan to find the project, Maria says they have a plan. The movie concludes with Maria and Gabby meeting with Hyder's former business partner and making a deal to provide him with 3 bionic soldiers. At Maria's signal, Bionic Gas steps out of the vehicle and displays his ability to predict the opponent's next moves in a fight, which impresses the business partner. Gus is happy that they are finally in business, and even though their fate is different from what they imagined, they are excited about the journey ahead. What matters is that they will be all together.